We have 7 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. Roll call by the county clerk.
We have 28 present and 2 absent.
Thank you. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Smith, would you lead us? Take a second to think about the strategic plan. Thank you. Please be seated. We're in compliance with the open meetings law.
We are, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed. It was moved by Goulig, seconded by, Mr. Backlund, okay? And all in favor? Opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Approval of the minutes, July 11th, 2023. Mr. Winnicky.
I would move approval of the July 11th, 2023 minutes as presented.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Paulson. Any additions, subtractions? Anybody noticed? If not, all in favor of approval of minutes, say aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Communications, Madam Clerk.
We have the notice of public hearing for planning and zoning, which is August 17, 2023 at 7 p.m. We have the annual report by Marsh Country Health Alliance, presented by Supervisor Coots, and then you should find the treasurer's report as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Brings us to item 8, special order of business, a resolution. Excuse me, recognize the life-saving efforts of Amy Heggie, Heather Novotny, Adam Altrader, Scott Yambor, and Michael Prebush. Mr. Drana.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution 2023-25. Recognizing the life-saving efforts of Sergeant Amy Heggie, Sergeant Heather Novotny, Sergeant Adam Altrider, Deputy Scott Yambor, and Deputy Michael Prebush. Whereas on December 16, 2022, a 34-year-old inmate of the Jefferson County Jail attempted to end his life by hanging himself from the top bunk within B pod. And whereas Sergeant Heather Novotny, assigned to pod control, reported at 2:47 p.m. of a medical emergency in B pod. Further advising that an inmate was hanging, and whereas Deputy Yambor and Prebush and Sergeants Heggie, Altrider worked as a team to cut down the inmate. Deputy Prebush lifted the inmate to relieve pressure from his neck. Sergeant Altrider cut down the bed sheet from the bunk, and the deputies carried the inmate from the front of the cell where the remainder of the bed sheet was cut off the inmate's neck, and medical care was provided. And whereas once the bed sheet was removed, staff were able to obtain a pulse. The inmate remained unresponsive for several minutes before regaining consciousness. The inmate was transported to Fort Memorial Hospital, treated, and later released. And whereas this inmate has reached out to the sheriff's office and expressed his sincere appreciation to the jail staff for saving his life. And whereas Jefferson County Sheriff Paul S. Milbrath hereby requests the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors to formally recognize the above individuals by adopting this resolution and awarding the above individuals with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office Life-Saving Award. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors formally recognizes the actions of Deputies Yambor, Prebush, and Sergeants Novotny, Heggie, and Altrider, who were directly involved in life-saving efforts to resuscitate an inmate in the Jefferson County Jail. Their efforts resulted in saving the life of this person and demonstrate professionalism, exemplary service, and dedication to duty, which reflect great credit upon themselves and the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office in Jefferson County. Be it further resolved that the above individual be awarded the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award. Fiscal note, adoption of this resolution has no fiscal impact on the county budget. Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to adopt this resolution.
Mr. Backlund, I saw his lips move, so I guess that's the second. All right, for the record, Mr. Our Chief Deputy Hunter has a few words to say, and I would like the deputies to remain up in front for a photo, and then a second photo. We'd like all our families to come up as well and take a photo with them too. Mr. Hunter.
Thank you. On behalf of our Sheriff's Office, we want to thank Sheriff Paul Milbrath for bringing this life-saving event to the attention of the Law Enforcement Committee, and thank the committee for their recommendation for the proclamation by the County Board. We want to thank the families, coworkers, and friends who came tonight to show support for the recipients. We also acknowledge that on the day of this incident, other on-duty deputies performed duties in support to those directly being recognized tonight. We are immensely proud of the outstanding professionalism that all of our men and women of our Sheriff's Office engage in every day they report for duty. Day in and day out, deputies respond to events where they truly make a difference. The vast majority of these go unnoticed, unrecognized, and uncelebrated, but truly impact people's lives. Events like we are recognizing tonight certainly showcase the diligent training, fortitude, and resolve that each and every deputy must bring to this profession. When a crisis situation arises, deputies are able to lean on their training and experience and respond without hesitation, alone or as a team. Their willingness and ability to respond in such a manner resulted in a life being saved. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award is awarded to any Sheriff's Office member, whether on duty or off, who is responsible for saving a human life through the rendering of medical aid or other actions that directly contribute to the saving of a human life. Each of the recipients tonight have all met the criteria, and they are each receiving a life-saving award and also an accompanying accommodation bar that they can wear on their uniform. So congratulations, and outstanding job.
I was going to say, all in favor of this resolution, please rise and give them a round of applause. Thank you. I think that they approve the resolution. But I will stand aside here so you can take photos. Could we please have the families come up and take a picture with them? Thank you. We're very proud of you. Thank you. At this time, we move on to item number 9, public comment. We have no public comment concerning the agenda tonight. We do have one at the end under general. So that takes us to annual reports, library services. Eric Robinson.
There we go. Hello. How about that? There we go. Hi, my name again is Eric Robinson. I'm the library director in Fort Atkinson and the county resource sharing librarian. So I serve the library services board for the county. So I just wanted to give you a few quick comments. I know you have the report and it's part of your package, so I really won't sit here and read that back to you because that is prolifically boring, and we have professors in the crowd who, God knows, we don't need to read syllabus to students. So just to give you a brief summary, the library services, especially since the pandemic, have been extremely good in the sense of the amount of people that use our public spaces throughout the county, not only circulating materials, both physical and online, but a lot of our libraries have transitioned to providing other services in and outside of the library. A couple quick examples is my library in particular, which is common for many of them in the county, is we go to assisted living facilities to bring materials, programs, and services to folks in need that are outside the building. We do home delivery to many people in our communities that are homebound and they don't have friends or family that are possibly able to bring them materials. And then a lot of our electronic usage. So one of the two things that we have primarily for downloading and listening and enjoying stuff online is through something called Libby. And then in shortly into 2021 and 22, we started using something called Hoopla. Hoopla is a streaming service. So I know not everybody goes to libraries frequently, but there are actually people that do go to libraries literally every day. And so Hoopla has been a really kind of a godsend for people who, in the 20 to 40-year-old crowd like myself, who don't necessarily make the library a basic part of their life, they're able to get stuff online pretty commonly. Some of the other things that are just really brief highlights I wanted to point out is you'll see a thing called Library of Things in a lot of the comments and the reports. It's not a made-up term. What it's sort of insinuating is the idea that libraries are starting to, and have been for at least a couple of years, providing things that aren't just books, some of which are really massive cost savings for folks in our community. Examples are, in my library and a few others in the county, we provide free passes to the Milwaukee County Zoo, Betty Bryn Children's Museum. Weirdly enough, I don't know why none of the libraries in Dane County ever asked, but the Children's Museum in Madison, we were the first ones to ask them in the state for passes. And so what they do is, these passes, you can take them. My father-in-law, who's a former steel worker, was shocked and appalled the first time he took his grandkids to the zoo, and it cost $20 to park and then all the admission. So what these passes do is it allows friends and family to basically go for free to many different places. So we've gotten into the business of memories, being able to check out stuff so friends and families can do things together for free. You'll see some parts of the report too. There's been a real shift in the space of the libraries and how they've been used. There's many meetings that happen for either boards or individuals that work for themselves or work from home. So just to give you a framework of it, if you don't know what a gigabyte is, it's a quantity of data. Terabytes are bigger. We used to basically have people who use 50 to 60 gigabytes of Wi-Fi in a month. We use almost 2 terabytes a month now because there's so many people in the building that are using us. So when the storms ripped through, basically a week and a half ago, Monday morning, we were up and running. We had power. Half the people in the building hadn't had power in days, and so they're working from home through us. And so a lot of the rooms themselves which are free for anybody to basically check out. You can come in anytime if you need it for drug treatment court cases actually happen in our library. So we have tablets that we work with the court, and individuals can come in and basically reserve them for free, no questions asked, and be administered into the court process. So I know it's just big sweeping statements, but even though the pandemic hit and you would think library services had gone down, it's actually only been up and up and up, meaning just the quantity of stuff that we not only circulate, but the amount of programs that we're invested in, such as memory cafes, especially with the Dementia and Alzheimer's Association. We do tons of those types of events for sometimes 10 to 20 individuals. It's not huge numbers, but it's massively impactful for those families. They're the ones that constantly comment. They donate to the libraries financially because they see the impact that being able to get together with individuals who are going through the same types of issues in a public space that's safe for them to meet. They deeply, deeply appreciate it. So that's just the broad strokes, because I'll let you look through some of those and you can see different questions. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know.
Questions? Questions for Eric? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Literacy Council, Pamela Waters.
I'm Pamela Waters. I'm the director of the Jefferson County Literacy Council, JCLC. The staff and volunteers of the Literacy Council, I would just like to thank you for your continued support. Without it, I wouldn't be able to share the updates that I have for you of the most recent fiscal year that just closed to bring the information in your packets up to date. I'm going to keep it short like Eric and just touch on the three core pillars. Education, we offer foundational adult education in two settings, the community and at the Jefferson County Jail. In the community, the past year, we are currently serving 84 individuals. 7 of those individuals are involved in preparation or somewhere in the process, the various stages of the process of naturalization in preparation for citizenship. The majority of the remaining 84 are learning English as a second language. This is a 68% increase over the previous year served. And we have been able, in the last year, we've been able to return to having regularly scheduled English classes across Jefferson County. These are at consistent times and locations in Jefferson, Watertown, and in Waterloo. We also have an additional 18 learner tutor pairs or trios that meet in public spaces and public libraries across Jefferson County to meet the needs of people who are unable to attend classes at the times that we have. In our correctional education program, we serve 64 individuals in the recent fiscal year that just closed June 30th. We continue to post strong and positive gains on the benchmark metrics that are set by the government for evaluating programs like ours. It's important to note that JCLC is one of 2 community-based organizations in the state of Wisconsin that receives federal funding for correctional education. We receive funding as a subrecipient from a grant awarded to the Wisconsin Technical College system. And we work with Madison College as our accrediting agency for any GEDs or My GED accounts and all of the credentials that are earned. Since we last met, we've realized 3 high school credentials have been earned, and we have 51 GED or GED ready tests that have been administered, and we wouldn't be able to do that without the correctional education liaison, Deputy Dutcher, in the Sheriff's Department. She helps us coordinate the instructional schedule, assessments, and she also helps us gather the data that's required for our grant reporting and establish the recidivism cohorts for those individuals who participated in our program. In the past year, we were able to transition from the delivery model we were using for Integrated Education and Technology Training Programs, IET. And for us, that is the OSHA program, OSHA 10-hour safety program that we offer in the jail. In February and March, we transitioned from the delivery method we used during remote instruction to an on-demand, interactive, self-paced course that's highly engaging. We've already had 8 individuals earn a credential. Now we'll be able to offer more seats, and it positions us to be able to offer IED programs that are on the horizons, ones that are for more soft skills like employability skills like interviewing, communication, teamwork, collaboration, even financial literacy, personal and in the workplace. So without Deputy Dutcher, she's an essential part of the success of our program. Another part of that is the Reducing Recidivism Coalition, which is a standing committee of the CJCC. This is a work committee. We are charged with, as a director of JCLC, I chair that committee, and we are charged with specific projects that will support a successful transition to re-entering for those who are being released from the county jail. Last year, we created and distributed a re-entry guide that is a resource. It's used in the Department of Corrections and Justice Department, in the Community Workforce Development, Jefferson County Human Services. It's available to anyone. And out of that work also came an infographic that is part of the exit package, so that those who are re-entering can get connected to those services that will more likely help them be successful in their re-entry process. We are a advocate for family literacy. We do that by attending outreach events, and these are community events where we expect to see families with children. So we attend Head Start meetings, parent-teacher meetings, to talk about our services and resources in the community. We also attend community events like the one last weekend and Ready Kids for School that's coming up this weekend. We also attend smaller events hosted by our community partners like Watertown Family Connections. There are playgroups in the park, which is a great way for us to connect with families who have children. We provide children with incarcerated parents with a digital book subscription, and also participants in our program. Research says that children who are read to and read with have their language development skills supported, and their early literacy skills are modeled. So we are a resource for bilingual books in our community. These are mostly distributed through primary care physicians and at well clinics and vaccination clinics. These books are chosen because they build language around physical, mental health, self-care, and they provide opportunities for families to learn about social emotional learning. We believe that strong adults lead strong families, and we are also a member. We serve on the planning committee of the Workforce Development Board of South Central Wisconsin, and we are an active partner in our regional WorkSmart network. Last year, I talked to you about volunteerism, which is our third core value, and historically, we have relied on the generosity of volunteers for our instructors and our tutors, and we continue to do so. Last year, our goal was to recruit more trainers, recruit more volunteers, and we recruited 8 new tutor instructors, 3 new board members, 2 of whom are bilingual, and 2 community volunteers who support with assessment both in the community and in the jail. We will continue to do that this year, and we've identified some strategies that will help us meet our goals. So that kind of brings you up to date with information from last year up to this year. Does the board have any questions? I thank you again for your support. Your support allows us to focus on our mission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pam. Next, Health Department, Elizabeth Chilson.
Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Chilson. I'm the director with the Health Department. Thank you for the opportunity to give a few brief highlights of the Health Department over the last year. I talk really fast, so I know that you guys have been in meetings all day, so I will also make it quick. We started off 2022 with a bang. We had our first avian influenza outbreak in Wisconsin, and just coming off of our work with the pandemic, I felt like we were incredibly prepared to respond, and we were successfully able to provide symptom monitoring, testing, and education to over 200 employees and more than 100 contracted employees. We were able to navigate many barriers that came with an outbreak of this extent and this size, and we were able to then make recommendations for change, which later will impact the entire county. And the entire country, excuse me. Later, we had our second avian influenza outbreak, and we were able to draw on the experiences of the first and really take the lessons learned, and we were able to respond even more effectively and efficiently. And these outbreaks allowed us to not only prevent human exposure and sickness, but ultimately it helped us build those partnerships with the state agencies that we didn't really have the opportunity to build throughout the pandemic. Also in 2022, our department conducted our statutory requirement of a community health assessment. We do this through a partnership with the Jefferson Healthier Community Partnership. And during this process, we reviewed secondary data, we looked at past community health assessments, we hosted focus groups, we sent out surveys, and at the end of it, we conducted a community health summit where community members, partners, stakeholders, etc., were able to come, and we presented the results of that health assessment. Here, everyone at that health summit was able to choose priority needs of our community. Their priority choices were access to affordable quality mental health care, access to affordable quality housing and affordable reliable transportation, access to affordable quality childcare, and equitable access to community-based resources and support. All of those probably sound very familiar, and it's refreshing to see that they're also being woven into the county strategic plan, and that we truly are listening to the needs of the community and addressing them throughout all of the different areas. We know as a health department that we're not going to be able to directly impact each of these areas alone, but we know that we also play an important role at the table in turning the curve on these really complex issues, and we can provide a valuable perspective to each of them. And we're excited at the end of the day to just ultimately achieve a greater collective impact. Lastly, our strategic plan was officially published and approved in October of 2022, and it's going to continue to drive our department's work over the next 5 years. The 6 key priority areas that were chosen are communication, community standing, stakeholder support, strategic orientation, sustainability, and workforce development. Those are all going to be incredibly important as we continue to rebuild after COVID. And for the longest time, that is what our department has been known for, and we want the community to be aware of the other great services that we offer. We continue to rebuild, as I mentioned, and we remain committed to getting back into the community and providing the necessary services that were limited or halted during COVID. We partnered with the American Red Cross to host an employer-based blood drive. We had 9 mass school clinics where we provided over 692 school-required immunizations with only 5 nurses, which is incredibly amazing, and gave us the opportunity to get children caught up on school vaccinations that are required for school. We also started assessing the need for a sexual assault nurse examiner program and worked with local agencies to determine whether or not this is something that we should work on bringing to Jefferson County. Ultimately, everything that we've been able to accomplish, we would not have been able to do without the support of the county board, the Board of Health, and our county administrator. So for that, I thank you. And I am looking forward to next year when we can talk about even more great things that we've accomplished. And hopefully I'm less nervous and I talk a little bit more slowly. Do you have any questions or comments? All right,
Any
thank you.
questions? Seeing none. Takes us to County Clerk, Audrey McGraw.
As you all know, this is my favorite thing in the world to do. My right eye has been twitching for about a month now, so hopefully that'll stop once I'm done with this. 2022 was very busy for us as far as elections went. We had 2 nonpartisan elections and 2 partisan elections. We also facilitated multiple election trainings for our municipal clerks. and their election inspectors and poll workers. I feel very fortunate to have such a good relationship with our municipal clerks. We work very, very well together. And then we, as the county, are also continuing to take advantage of opportunities for continued education as it is offered through the Wisconsin Elections Commission. I just wanted to highlight a few things that changed for us over 2022 with our marriage license issuance process. There were a few pretty major changes to the laws regarding the issuance of marriage licenses. In July of 2022, new legislation was passed to reduce the statutory waiting period from 7 days to 4 days. It also increased the validity of the marriage license from 30 days to 60 days. It also now allows couples to apply in any county in Wisconsin, provided that they are getting married within the state. These changes could potentially help us increase the number of issued marriage licenses as we are receiving the overflow of surrounding counties. We are looking forward to a positive increase in our revenue streams, and I am excited to hopefully report on that next year. Lastly, we are a passport acceptance agent. We've been offering this service since 2009. Previously, the clerk of court's office performed that. We have experienced in 2022 an over 30% increase in our passport application fees, as well as an over 18% increase in our passport photo fees. With that being said, we know that the Dane County Clerk's Office is no longer offering this service, and the County Clerk's Office isn't taking it on. We've been receiving an influx of phone calls from customers who live in surrounding counties that their local government is either no longer offering passport services or that they are booking out over 6+ weeks. We look forward to working with the counties as they continue to send their overflow to Jefferson County. That's all that I have.
Questions for Audrey? Mr. Gulick.
Yes, I have one question. Thank you for all the work that you do. I guess that's not a question, a statement. And relative to elections, have there been any instances of proven voter fraud in Jefferson County?
We had one instance where a couple from Cambridge, they lived in Dane County, they registered in the town of Sumner knowing that they lived in Dane County, and they voted in both places. So that was presented to the district attorney's office, but it was never, they weren't prosecuted.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Audrey. Takes us to the sheriff's office. Sheriff Paul Milbroth. He promised me he'd be brief.
I guarantee I'll be brief. When my voice would squeak higher, I told people I was getting younger, going through puberty again. It got a few laughs. Now it's more like this, and they think I'm trying out for the Godfather role, so whatever pays, I guess we'll go with. The sheriff's office, you've had the report now for about 2 months. I'll just hit a few brief highlights on that. We continue to be going through a lot of retirements right now. As I said in my report, our last 9 retirements total over 246 years of knowledge and training. It's really a hard loss to try to fill those numbers back up. We continue to strive to do that. One thing I will assure you, although the numbers applying are small, the people we're getting are exceptional. We have not dropped our standards, and I refuse to drop our standards. That just brings on problems, and my corp counsel and my new corp counsel greatly appreciate it when we don't have problems. We've been very fortunate that our kitchen is able to maintain and work the way they do. Those of you that were at the Watertown Library, that food was prepared by the jail. They asked if I was going to have a lunch, and I actually said no, I wasn't, but got into quite the conversation about the cost of the meal. They found it hard to believe that we feed our inmates every day for 87 cents a meal, is what it averages out to. We are so fortunate to live in a county as special as this, where I have local businesses that have the opportunity and the availability to make donations of food. And we're happy to accept it. And it's not bad food. It's highly nutritious. I joked with one of our gals at the meeting. I said, it's not often that you get portobello sandwiches in a jail, but we're fortunate that Peters Brothers Trucking is so helpful with us. Those of you that are aware, last year we got 2 rather large donations. One from the Didion family. They gave $10,000 toward our canine program. The $10,000 covers the high-end medical bills that we would get from the UW Vet Hospital. And we're very fortunate to have a donor like that and to have a UW Vet clinic that gives us a 60% discount. So we're very, very pleased. And also the Didion Corporation, 2 different groups, actually donated $10,000 so we could build our own search and rescue house to deal with active shooter scenarios. And to be very honest with you, that shoot house or that active shooter type situation house is being used by many different agencies that are amazed that we have this and are able to do that. So those are very, very positive things. We're very fortunate to have a good mental health program. Our Human Services Department is willing to work with us, as well as our County Administrator's Office and Finance, who helped us get the money to increase our mental health worker to 40 hours a week. Now, one of the things you see with the jail, we're actually not going to be expanding the number of cells, but we're expanding the number of, we used to call them holding cells, but apparently I'm old. Now they're called receiving cells, so that we're able to help monitor the people going through drug withdrawal and alcoholism issues so that we can better serve them to make sure they're safe. Very positive thing for the Sheriff's Office last year. Deputy Novotny, who actually won a life-saving award, was not here, received our Jefferson County Human Services Critical Incident Team Award for saving a girl looking to jump off a bridge near Johnson's Creek. And 4 of our deputies, again this year, were recognized by MAD, the National Mothers Against Drunk Driving Organization, for their exemplary traffic efforts in not only drunk driving, but in traffic warnings and high visibility enforcement. I am truly fortunate to be the sheriff of this county. We have great people. I have a great board. I have a wonderful finance director. I'm going to be asking for a few extra things, Mark, if you're here. And between Terry and Ben, there's some people that I can always go to and get advice and questions answered. A couple of things we're going to try to shoot for next year. We're actually getting some of the money through a grant, but we're actually going to be purchasing, they're called pocket talkers. Those of you that have ever heard of Google Translate, they're similar to that. However, they're HIPAA compliant, which Google is not. And I've gotten 2 demo models. I was supposed to get one. I think I'm going to get another free one. I'm good at crying, I'll admit that. But the point is, we've used them extensively. They actually cover 84 languages. And one of the things we found out is we have a lot of Spanish-speaking individuals in this area. They're not all of one dialect. We have at least 5 different dialects, and the good news is it covers all of the dialects. And I was able to use it myself. And so Dave's probably finding it hard to believe that I actually use technology, but I'm sure I saw him a big smirk on his face, but I was able to use it. Gentleman kind of looked at me And I said, 1 second. I went to a different form of Spanish. I talked into it. He knew exactly, was exactly his dialect. So those are some things we're going to be working with. We're actually going to be getting one from the Literacy Council. They're putting us in for one of their grants on one of those small things. And by ordering numerous of them, and we may check with a couple of our local businesses, because the more I order, the bigger the price drops, and we like things cheap. That really is kind of the extent of my report. You have seen a lot of deputies out there. Jefferson County has been very fortunate. We are working in collaborative efforts with surrounding communities in our traffic enforcement efforts, and thus we've gotten another several traffic grants this year. Very proud of that, and we just ended up getting notification, but I'm not allowed to tell you but the name yet, because until they actually send me the final thing, that we're getting outdoor lighting for our crime scenes, traffic crashes, and that'll be done through donations. So we're quite pleased about that. Any questions? I'll try to answer them. Any questions? Keep them small.
Questions for the sheriff?
All right. Thank you so much.
Seeing none, thank you, Paul. That ends our annual reports. Takes us to committee reports, resolutions, and ordinances. Parks Committee. Mr. Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's tough to follow a man with such a great sense of humor, so I'll just play it straight tonight. I have for you resolution number 2023-26. The Jefferson County Parks Department recognizes the need to have consistent hours of operation for Jefferson County parks and trails. The Jefferson County Parks Department also recognizes the need to respect the privacy and safety of park users and adjoining property owners, and wishes to do so by setting year-round and uniform park access hours. This amendment to the Jefferson County Parks Ordinance changes park and trail closed hours from 1/2 hour after sunset until 1/2 hour before sunrise to 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. The Parks Committee considered this amendment at its meeting on July 6th, 2023, and recommended forwarding to the County Board for approval. You have the body of the ordinance and the resolution here in front of you. Fiscal note, there is no fiscal impact to this amendment to the Jefferson County Parks Ordinance. Mr. Chairman, some unforeseen complications were pointed out by Supervisor Jekyll, and so I move to send this ordinance or resolution back to committee for further work.
Second from Mr. Gulig. We will return that to committee. Yes. Vote to, all those in favor of returning it to committee per their request, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, is returned to committee. Takes us to item 12, Planning and Zoning Committee. Supervisor Jekyll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Report to the honorable members of Jefferson County Board of Supervisors. Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Committee, having considered petitions to amend the official zoning map of Jefferson County, filed for public hearing held on July 20th, 2023, as required by law pursuant to Wisconsin statutes. Notice thereof having been given and being duly advised of the wishes of the town boards and the persons in the affected area, hereby makes the following recommendation. Approval of petitions as listed, dated this 31st day of July 2023, Blaine Paulson, Secretary. And that moves us on to ordinance number 2023-9, amending the official zoning map, whereas Jefferson County Board of Supervisors has heretofore been petitioned to amend the official zoning map of Jefferson County, and whereas petitions as listed were referred to the Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Committee for public hearing on July 20th, 2023, And whereas proposed amendments have been given due consideration by Jefferson County Board of Supervisors in open session, now therefore be it ordained Jefferson County Board of Supervisors does amend the official zoning map of Jefferson County as listed. I move for adoption of this ordinance.
Second by Mr. Paulson. Questions? Mr. Kennard. Any other questions, discussion? All in favor of this ordinance, say aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the ordinance passes. Moves on to ordinance number 2023-10, amending this, section 1110, shoreline provisions of Jefferson County zoning ordinance. Mr. Jekyll.
Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Department has completed the amendments to the Jefferson County shoreline regulations as required by state administrative rule, Natural Resources Chapter 115 and state statutes. These amendments are a result of recent changes in Wisconsin law. The attached text amendment will bring Jefferson County zoning ordinance into compliance with the current state regulations as required by the Department of Natural Resources. The County Planning and Zoning Department, with support from the Planning and Zoning Committee, recommends enacting this text amendment to incorporate all the revisions and law changes to date. The most recent changes include regulations for fences along roadways and clarification determining access and viewing corridor of the shoreline properties. In addition, this text amendment incorporates some revisions to mitigation plans and minor grammatic changes throughout the ordinance. A public hearing was held on this text amendment on July 15th, 2023, and the Planning and Zoning Committee considered this ordinance amendment on July 26th, 2023, and recommended forwarding it to the county board for adoption. And everybody can kind of see the little changes through their packet. They're either got blue lines in them and red where they've changed some of the wording or added wording. Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of this ordinance.
Second by Mr. Paulson. Questions? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the ordinance passes. Takes us to appointment by the county administrator. Mr. Waymeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight I have the pleasure of bringing to you an appointment for confirmation of an important position for our organization, and that is our corporation counsel. And tonight I bring Attorney Danielle Thompson for your consideration. Attorney Thompson has a great, vast variety of experience in education to fill this role. As we went through this process in front of multiple panels of department heads and county board representatives, we really thought she had the experience needed to fill this role. But I think one of the important thing is also the fact she was a fit for the team. And I think Blair can tell you, having folks be a fit for the team in this role is important because we want them to go to them for trust, for advice, and just a conversation piece. And we felt that Danielle fit that to a T. She has her JD from the University of Wisconsin Law School and a BA in Political Science from UW Milwaukee. And she's owned Danielle Thompson's Legal for the last several years. In addition to her experience in general practice, she's also represented various local municipalities in the main role or also assistant role. But she also does a lot of civil defense work for insurance companies for local municipalities. And so she's seen it all. And I think as Sheriff told you, he likes to keep our corp counsel happy, but also understand those complexities of legal issues is very important to advise us, not just in a reactive process, but a proactive process. So in addition to the panels, I think I kind of mentioned the board. The finalists got to do a little homework. And Attorney Thompson did a heck of a job doing that. And specifically, we made her talk about tax foreclosures, which she loved, as we looked at a U.S. Supreme Court case, state law, and how it applies to how we operate. And so it just really gave us the insight, not only how she does her legal analysis, but how she presents that legal analysis, not only in a legal technical term, but also to us as their supervisors and board members so we understand the advice going forward. So with all that being said, per Wisconsin Statute 59.18, Parent 2, Parent B, I respectfully request the confirmation of the appointment of Attorney Danielle Thompson to be our next corporation counsel.
I Who made the motion? Mr. Christensen, and a second by Mr. Backlund. Questions? Questions? Oh, Mr. Waymire, could you elaborate on the timeline for the transition?
Well, Blair's really excited that he has promised to stick around as long as we need to. No. So Attorney Thompson and I were talking through, obviously she's in private practice. She's also one of our contracted attorneys for GL and some other work that takes place. And so we're looking at roughly a 60-day time period from confirmation tonight with some ebbs and flows. I appreciate Blair has continued to said he'll help with the transition, not only in the 60 days, but post that time to make sure Danielle's ready to take on this role in that transition piece. As you can see tonight, she's going to start attending some of our meetings even before the official start date, just to kind of get a feel and some of the programs and things going on in front of us today. So we'll get an official start date here soon, but it's the tentative timeline we're looking at.
Thank you. Welcome to the county family, Danielle. And she's sitting in the back of the room. If you haven't met her, at least, vote. At least take your opportunity to meet her. All in favor of this appointment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Welcome aboard. Takes us to public comment of a general nature. Mr. Backlund.
I just got a quick, I don't know, comment or whatever. I spent all week at the fair every day with the grandkids and stuff, and I had a fair amount of people approach me and with concerns of different things going on. I'm not going to go into detail. I will meet with the committee when they meet on Thursday, but I just kind of want to make everyone aware that there was a fair amount of people that were unhappy with various other aspects of it. And I guess if anyone wants to talk to me on a private matter or whatever, I'd be happy to share that. But I want to share with the committee. I debated whether or not to talk about this, but then I thought if it went to them, that it wouldn't be before the board for another month, and thought that it would be prudent to just make the board aware that there were some issues that went on there.
Thank you, Mr. Backlund. Takes us to announcements. Any announcements? I have one. Today I received a resignation of a citizen member from the Railroad Commission. So if anybody has a suggested name, you have somebody that's interested, this is a county chair's appointment, please get their name to me, and not just the name, get me an address and a phone number too. That helps a lot. So if you know anybody that'd be interested in serving on a road commission as a citizen member, let me know. Thank you. Any other announcements? Seeing none, now we have a closed session which we'll need to take a roll call vote for. And so, Mr. Winnicky, would you introduce the move to closed session?
Yeah, I would move that we convene in closed session pursuant to section 19.85, parent 1, parent E, Wisconsin statutes, for deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session for the purpose of discussion on selling county-owned farmland. As I say, I move approval.
Do I have a second to go into closed session? Second by Mr. Brogler. We need a roll call vote.
Supervisor Herbst? And Supervisor Paulson? And Supervisor Gross? We have 28 yes, 0 no, 2 absent.
Any staff that is not part of the business that we are going to discuss tonight is asked to leave. You can come back afterwards.